Stocks, bonds, ETFs, straight out of downtown Chicago. This is Zach's Market Edge.
Welcome to Zach's Market Edge, the podcast about investing in your life. I'm your host, Tracy Reinick, and this week I'm joined by Zach Stutler. He's a Zach's summer intern. It's kind of a tongue twister there. We have Zach at Zach's as the summer intern. And as you know, I try to have the summer interns on at least one podcast episode every summer so they get some experience on here. And we're going to talk about not the millennials this time because our summer interns are getting younger now. The millennials are old. They're out of the scene. We're going to talk about Gen Z and what is going on with them. What kind of brands are they into? What can we learn from Generation Z that will help us as stock investors maybe get into some stocks that could have potential in the future? That's how I look at it. So Gen Z, you guys are like, is there even a generation after you yet? No, probably not.
I don't think so.
It might be like 2-year-olds might technically be in the next generation or so, because I think Gen Z, it all varies. There's no like real definition, but the Gen Zs go from like 21 years old and down now is what I gather.
Yeah, it's a bit weird being at the top.
Yes.
Thinking that someone all the way down at,
imagine
3
the
years
two,
old could
right?
be the same.
It's the same, I know. So you're still in school, right?
Yes.
And where do you go?
University of Alabama.
Okay.
I'll be going into my second year.
Okay, excellent. So you're just here as a summer intern, but it's interesting to get the Gen Z because, like I said, we haven't had many of the Gen Zers yet. And I did want to know, about the brands and what all of you are doing now, because I do feel it's a lot different than the millennials because you all were in school when, like, say, the iPhone came out, and you don't really have a time. You were in grade school when that came out, right? Technically, yeah.
Yeah, it was at the the iPhone's like going into like...
It's like 12 years old now.
Yeah. So there was really no time before the iPhone, I guess, for us.
Right.
It's always been a part, right? Even the iPod, which was, because most kids didn't have an iPhone, right? Starting in, 5th, 6th, 7th grade. So everyone had an iPod, though, and that was kind of the big thing. And then obviously we got older, so we developed, grew into the iPhone. Now it's just part of life, and it has been. Yeah.
What is the preference with you and your friends on phones? Is it an iPhone now that you're a little older? Is it, the Google, the Android type of phones? Do you have a preference?
So I personally prefer the iPhone, and I know there's a lot of, I don't know, it's almost a stigmatism towards, Androids, just that they're inferior. It's a bit of an ongoing joke, but iPhones, in terms of user friendliness, I think they're probably better. If you want to look at some of the technical stuff, like each side probably has its pros and cons, but generally I think the iPhones are seen wider, at least in the US, I know.
Okay. What do you guys think about Apple in general? Is it still like a thing, Apple is cool, I'd like to work there someday kind of thing? Or is it like, Apple?
Apple, it's probably one of the better companies, in terms of our mind, Apple's up there as the best. Even computers, the MacBook and everything, to have a MacBook is seen as cool, and an iPhone going with that is just like, it's a status symbol almost among, the youth.
Okay. I know it always kind of used to be, so that's why I'm asking, because I didn't know if that was still the case. What do you think about Microsoft and like the Surface computer? Does that register at all?
I personally have a Surface. And I like it more. It's cheaper and gets you, for Apple, I just think you're kind of paying for the name at some point. So I've always used a Surface computer, but I know people that, live and die by the MacBook and, all Apple products. And so there's a big difference between people and their opinions as far as, I think more with the MacBook than with like an iPhone. I think the iPhone's more widely regarded as a quality phone, whereas people have their different opinions, whether Windows or, Mac is better. But I think it's quality, and if you have the money, why not get one? But, for me, the Surface and the Windows laptops are always better.
What about things like the iPad? So when the iPad originally came out, it was, going to be this destroyer of the laptop, and we were all going to ditch our laptops and only get the iPad. But then the phone kind of evolved and is so powerful now, even in the smaller screen and everything, that it feels like the iPad is just kind of now been relegated. Is that true for Gen Zs? Do any of you still have iPads like in college or anything, or is it just the laptops now?
I think the iPad's definitely taken a back seat. I mean, I don't have any friends or anyone that has an iPod really. I know some schools use them, like elementary schools and such.
Yeah.
But in terms of personal use, I don't use one. None of my friends have one. They're not very popular anymore at all.
Okay. What about food delivery? Let's switch over to that because I talk a lot about it with the millennials, but you guys, again, are the first generation who basically went all through high school and now into college with being able to order like almost anything on your phones and just have it delivered. Is this the case in college? Are you all sitting there and, getting whatever's the cheapest delivered to you? And do you care who delivers it? Like, do you care if it's Postmates or Uber Eats or Grubhub or does it matter more just like I want that particular restaurant and whoever delivers it is fine?
So I think, first of all, it depends on what you want. And of course, you want pizza, you want just some fast food, whatever. I think delivery for us so far it hasn't been like it's been much easier as time has gone on. And, so being just a year of college, we haven't ordered too much, but like
okay, you're still eating in the dorm.
Yeah, definitely. It's a lot cheaper too,
Yeah, for sure.
The delivery fee itself is like, sometimes it'll double your price depending on what you're getting.
Yeah.
And not living in a city makes it a lot more expensive because I know around here I've checked some of the prices and Uber Eats is much cheaper here than it is down in a small, more rural area.
Yeah. In Tuscaloosa.
Yeah.
It's not, it's smaller.
It's a lot smaller. And in terms of delivery options, there aren't as many.
What about like Uber and Lyft? Does anyone use those to like go around campus?
Yeah, so down there, Lyft is actually a lot bigger than Uber.
Okay.
I think it's because the school we have a partnership with Lyft.
Oh,
so
okay.
I know last year we were able to, each month we had $100 credit we could use.
Wow.
So yeah, that was really big.
Nice.
And I'm not sure if they're doing that again, but it was really useful to have that. You go anywhere within a small area, but still to have $100 to go.
That's a lot.
A month. Yeah, it was quite useful.
Okay. What about other things like, let me think. Well, let's just go about like online, like services like Netflix or Hulu or any of those. Does anyone subscribe to those? Do you use your parents? You probably have education like accounts too for those, right? Like Amazon and stuff.
So I use Netflix. My parents have it, so I just use their account still. But everyone I know has Netflix. It's pretty universal at this point. I know my family, we completely dropped cable TV. So we just use subscription services now. And it cut the cost of TV a lot. And then it's a lot more convenient just to have it, you can watch it anywhere on your phone. Even though some of the major cable providers have gone towards that, it's a lot easier just having your subscription services there for you when you need them and when you want them.
Okay. All right. So we covered some of that. What about the shopping mall? That was a major thing.
Yes.
And all I hear is the shopping mall is dying. Young people don't want to go there. Millennials have spurned it. But Gen Z, I'm not so sure. Do you guys spurn it? I don't think so. Do you? That's my guess that you don't.
So I enjoy going to the mall with friends. More as something to do than to actually shop. If there's something I need to get and I know what I need to get, I'm just going to order it off Amazon.
Do you go there then for entertainment purposes? That's what it sounds like. Like, would you go to like eat there and go to a movie or like some kind of gaming thing? Or
I think browsing, selections of things to buy is still enjoyable.
Okay.
I mean, me and my friends, will go often. We have nothing to do, just go to the mall for the day and walk around. There's it's just something about walking around a mall to me and them that's enjoyable. So I don't think we've completely it's not the same as browsing online. There's nothing enjoyable about browsing through Amazon if you don't know what you're looking for.
Exactly. Okay, so do you and your friends, you don't think that it's only going to be online shopping?
No, I think, obviously online wins in convenience and, a lot of times prices, but just being able to go and look around and find stuff you weren't specifically looking for is enjoyable.
Do you get ideas from shopping in the mall and then go home and buy them online?
Occasionally, yes, there will be things I see and I'm like, okay, this is too expensive. I'll either wait, I'll see if I can find it, cheaper somewhere else. But then there's times, a lot of the retailers you go to, they have better deals than you can find online, especially if it's, just for the weekend, they'll have X thing on sale for, a big price or a large amount off. Then it's a lot better to just go and walk around. You grab it there and, you have something you never thought you needed, but it'll be useful.
Okay, I feel better suddenly about the mall now because they've been saying that for a while, that Gen Z likes to go in, try on the clothes, like actually talk to the salespeople because it is more social. Like, again, you guys are the first generation to grow up like with all the social media too. So how is that? Like, explain, is anyone in the older age range of Gen Z, are you still into Snap? Because that's been around a couple of years now, and you guys were kind of the leaders of the Snapchat craze.
So I think Snapchat, well, each social media platform kind of serves its own purpose, I feel like. So, Instagram is more, you post your pictures and you connect with a wider range of people. I think Snapchat is more, you go on there and you mess around. You have you post things that are just meant to be funny, things that your closer friends would see rather than just everyone. I think Instagram's much more public,
right?
Meant to be, and Snapchat is much more private, and you have more conversations with people. It's more of you can talk to people through it rather than Instagram's more just seeing what everyone's doing and maybe reconnecting with people you haven't seen in a while.
Okay, so you're not mentioning Facebook at all.
Yeah.
Is there a reason for that?
I've never been a Facebook user.
Wow.
So I've never touched it. And to me, a lot of my friends have them, but I don't think they really use them. It's more just they created one at some point, for whatever purpose. But I don't know many people that actively use Facebook.
Do any of your professors use any of the social media platforms to provide like reading materials or updates on the class or even like a video segment or something?
Most of them, we just have online services for a lot of the stuff is just posted online. I know it's called Blackboard is what we use.
Okay.
And that's pretty common at most schools. They just post it there. So we don't have any connection outside of that really.
Okay. What about LinkedIn? Are you all on there as soon as or even in high school, are you on there or right when you get to college or how does that one work?
I started a LinkedIn, I want to say back in the fall.
Okay.
So, quite early in college and then just started connecting on that. It's really useful. I think, especially I used it primarily to look for a job and try to see what's out there and at least get a profile started and start making connections because those connections are really important, further down the line.
Yeah.
So I know a lot of friends use LinkedIn.
Okay.
Maybe not as actively as some of the people who've been using it for a while, but it's a useful tool especially for a job hunt. And when you're, looking for your first job or an internship, it's really useful.
Okay. So it sounds like the positive ones are LinkedIn, Instagram, Snap. And what about Twitter? Anybody use that?
Yeah, I'm a big user of Twitter. I feel like it's an interesting app because it's meant to create like an open dialogue for people. And I think it's really good at doing that. So it's an easy way to talk to people. And it's how a lot of things get viral, I think, is through Twitter. And it, helps to grow a lot of things. So if you follow a lot of things on Instagram, you'll see repeats of things that you saw on Twitter. Mm-hmm. I think Twitter's really in terms of a news source, it has grown significantly. And it's really useful as a news source compared to many other things. I get most of my news now from Twitter instead of your typical channels.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I think it's great for the news. On that same similar social media area, do any of your friends, are they majoring in social media? Is it a major at Alabama?
I'm not sure about social media. I have one friend who's a communications major.
Okay.
So they use...
You can like specialize in it, maybe?
Yeah, I know, they have to do computer-based classes, a lot of communications obviously is online now. I assume marketing and advertising probably have a lot to do now with social media, as that's a huge source of,
Yes.
getting your brand out there. Is
Right.
If you have a social media presence, you can be successful.
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't think there's anything specific with social media.
Okay. What do you guys think about automobiles? Do you or any of your friends have one? It used to be the thing, like, you had to have a car. Obviously, there's now Lyft. You got the credit and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
you might not have to have one. But I've been hearing that for forever as well. Like, oh, the millennials don't like cars. They don't want one. What about you guys, Gen Zs? Or are you just waiting for the self-driving cars to drive you around?
I mean, currently I drive one of my parents' cars because
Okay.
I don't have the money to
Right.
get my own. As in terms of on campus, 2 of my roommates have cars. I have 3 roommates. 2 of them have cars, so it's pretty useful, and we use them quite often. I haven't personally used. I've only used Uber once, and it wasn't on campus. It was just to get to a friend's apartment downtown. But we drive around quite often. I think having a car, especially on campus, is useful. There are ways to get around, but it's a lot more convenient to have your own, and you don't have to worry about getting a Lyft or an Uber or whatever.
Definitely. So that part has not changed because
No.
I wanted a car too when I was in college. Plus, Alabama has a pretty big campus, doesn't it?
Yeah,
I would think so.
It's one of the bigger ones I know.
Okay, yeah.
End to end, maybe 30-minute walk.
Oh wow. Okay, yeah. So that's annoying, and you don't want to wait for some like shuttle or something.
Yeah.
Okay, so what about the cryptocurrencies? What do you and your friends think about that? Has anyone been buying any with like some of their spare change? Are there some Bitcoin owners that you know, or?
Back in the craze, 2018 when it got to its maximum height, it was up around like 20,000, I think.
Yeah.
It was really popular
Okay.
in terms of talk. I had friends who were interested in it. I was never personally interested in buying any. It was just, I don't know, too much for me. But one of my friends did. I don't know if he bought Bitcoin, but he was into
One
the
of
whole
them.
cryptocurrency. Yeah.
Okay.
And
Did he hold on? Did he sell? Like what happened?
I couldn't
If
tell
he doesn't
you.
have a
He's not-
Lamborghini,
yeah.
then isn't that what everyone wanted to buy with it? Apparently,
Yeah.
that showed you made it if you had a Lambo. So yeah, I guess you would know if he had cashed in. Was anybody mining any of it, like in the dorm rooms or anything? Or
No
none of
one that I know was mining it. And
Okay.
It's so much effort. I think it'd be too hard to do on campus almost. But yeah, no one I know was mining it, and it was very little talked of the mining. The actual buying and the popularity of it was much more talked about than people mining it.
Okay. So I have to ask some questions about some of the other like big time like consumer brands because some of them are hot. I don't know how hot they are with you or your friends, but like Lululemon, that seems hot even with guys now because I know Danny over here, my producer, he loves Lulu. He likes buying the golf shirts. Apparently he's nodding. He's a big fan. So what about, companies like that? Or is it just like out of the price range right now? It's on your wish list, or how do you feel about like apparel brands, like either Lulu, Nike, Under Armour, like any of these?
Yeah, so Lululemon, I've never actually. I know it's really popular with girls my age, but guys, I don't know. Apparently, I guess
In Alabama,
they have
it's
stuff.
a no-go.
I didn't even know they had
They
men's
do.
apparel.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know Lululemon's one of the big ones with girls.
Okay.
For me, Nike is really big, and Nike overall is really big with guys in just terms of t-shirts, sweatshirts, everything Nike is pretty popular still. Under Armour has really fallen off, I think.
Okay.
It's been
Interesting.
I think it was much more popular, a couple years ago, 5 years ago maybe. But now it's definitely not as good. And then I wear Adidas a lot.
Okay.
Adidas and Nike are the big.
That's been hot.
Yeah, those are the big two ones for me. And I think they're both really they each have different kind of styles that each person suits, or sometimes I'll wear Adidas, sometimes Nike, but it's not a huge difference to me which one.
What about on the gaming side? Is there, stuff going on with the games, Fortnite and all that in the dorms, or how does Gen Z think about gaming? Because it's like super advanced now.
Yeah, so gaming is huge. I personally, I play a lot of video games, especially when you're on campus. You have a lot of free time.
Yeah.
It's really popular. I know me, at least one of my other roommates, we both have a PlayStation that we bring to campus. And
now,
so
here's my question. Will you be buying the new PlayStation when it comes out? Next year, I think.
Depends on the price range. I heard it could be upwards of like $500, $600. And that would be too much for me. I don't know. Because I know previously it wasn't, usually you get in the like 300 range, which was reasonable and something that I for someone who spends, enough time, it's worth it. But, anything above $500 would just be too expensive, I think.
Okay. Sony should be listening to these things, but they may or may not because they know you're all addicted. So they're like, if they're going to pay $500 for their phone, they'll pay $500 for their gaming platform console. What do you think about ultimately, streaming the games and all of that? Would you, obviously, it sounds like you'd be into, like if there was, subscriptions and stuff, you would be into that.
One of the biggest streaming services, Twitch, which is owned by Amazon, is huge. I know a lot of people that enjoy streaming, and I know YouTube now, just as easily. Twitch was one of the main leaders, and then YouTube made it a lot easier. So people are kind of between YouTube or Twitch streaming. But people, I personally watch Twitch, and there's people I follow. It's created like a community. It's for someone who doesn't follow the games, it might seem weird.
Okay, yeah. So explain it a little bit more. Like what happens when you're using Twitch?
Yeah, so essentially there's someone live streaming, usually their screen, and then they'll have a camera of them.
Okay, so they're just like in their house playing a game.
Yeah, they'll be just sitting there playing, and people will, thousands of people. I know some of the top people get hundreds of thousands of viewers live at once. And so these viewers, typically you can donate, or I know Twitch has a subscription service, and subscriptions, depending on the person that you're subscribing to, it's $5 a month.
Okay.
And then that will enable you, it'll open you up to certain benefits based on what the subscriber wants to give or what the provider wants to give their subscribers.
Okay. So you would be like subscribing to their channel on Twitch, in other words. Okay. Yeah. That's interesting because I think a lot of people don't realize that people like to watch other people gaming.
Yeah, one of the big things I've heard, people get the question, why do you enjoy, watching them play?
Right.
It's the same question as why do you enjoy watching sports when you can go out and play the sport? You're watching someone who's better. Maybe you want to get better. Maybe you just enjoy the entertainment of watching them, and they're an entertaining person to, fill your spare time with.
Yeah. Now, is there a difference? Because I've never watched one of them do it. Do you care more about what's going on the screen or them just sitting there? Because that's the part. But I always wondered who watches podcasts too, because we're just sitting here and people do. So is it like a combination? Like you kind of want to see how the person's reacting while they're playing it?
So for me, a lot of it is the person streaming the game is more important than the game. The people I follow them because of who they are rather than what they're playing. So a lot of times, they'll just be talking about interesting things, and there's a live chat going on where you can, type and have an ongoing conversation with people that are also watching, or with the streamer themselves. And so it's a bit of a fun environment to watch. And then the game is just something, at the end of the day, it's something to fall back on if, there's no ongoing conversation. But to me, I think the person streaming and the personality, behind the screen is much more important than the actual game itself.
Okay. Just FYI for all of you who are like, the gaming, Epic Games just spent $30 million. Well, more than that probably, but they just gave away $30 million in prizes for the Fortnite World Cup. It was the first one they had at the Arthur Ashe Tennis Stadium out in New York. So they filled it for tennis, or they will shortly for the U.S. Open, and they filled it for Fortnite, a huge tournament that they had there. So a lot is going on with the gaming side. And you guys are obviously at the forefront too of that. So we covered a lot of the brands, but I do have like a food brand question. So what happens with pizza down in Alabama? Is it like Papa John's? Is it Domino's? Is it the local guys? Is it all of them?
For us, in terms of delivery, Domino's is the go-to.
Okay.
I know we only had Domino's delivered. Well, we had it delivered twice, But one time we had it delivered, it was on a game day, but it was an away game. So everyone was staying in, which actually made it worse for delivery.
Yes.
It ended up taking like 3 hours, I think.
Oh my gosh.
And when we called in, they told us it's going to be that long. And we were just like, at this point, we're just going to wait. It's not,
So you did wait to get it?
Yeah, we ended up waiting. We got our pizza. It was.
The game had to be over.
Decent pizza. It was over. Yes.
Good. Did you have snacks to eat at least before?
Yeah,
the pizza?
we did have. We had other food, but
okay.
we just entertained ourselves in the meantime, and we made it through. In terms of going out, Domino's, there's a few other smaller pizza chains that are just more fun to go to and it just have better quality. If you're going out, Domino's isn't really the place I would go to.
Right. They don't specialize in the eating in area.
But yeah, for delivery, Domino's is pretty good down there. So it works well.
What about Chipotle? Because that, they had some issues a couple of years ago with the food quality and, illness and things going on that they've been working hard to repair. And some people a couple of years ago when all that was happening are like, oh, they'll never get their reputation back. It's doomed. It's this and that. But it's been a couple of years now. What does Gen Z think about Chipotle? Do you go there? What's the story?
I mean, I remember, all that. So it's not like it's completely out of my memory, but I still go there. I don't, I'm under the opinion that they've, changed it and they've gotten better now and everything's good. I enjoy the food. So it's somewhere to go that I would go on a normal basis.
Okay. What about any of the other chains? I'm just thinking of like Wingstop or Potbelly's or any of those. Anything popular?
Yeah, I know. I mean, Potbelly there's not too many down south.
Okay.
But that's I enjoy going there and it's popular around here.
Yeah, in Chicago.
Wingstop, actually, I mean, they have really good wings, but that has, it's kind of notorious as being expensive in terms of wings.
Yeah.
So it's not a super popular wing place to go, considering how many options there are.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, other than that, food brands, I mean, there's just so many places. I like to try places and just go new places. There's nothing that's super popular, the place to go.
Right. So nobody's waiting in line anywhere now. Yeah. Okay. Just kind of curious to see if I could figure out any of the upcoming hot brands, if there's some, chain that's down there that I don't know about, because they are a lot of regional restaurant chains. Yeah. And I always get mad at that because I want to try, I don't know why there's no Habit Burger in Chicago yet. Like I'm still waiting Habit to get one of those, but there isn't. A couple of the other ones too, like Bojangles. We don't have one of those, and that's more popular in the South.
Yeah,
too.
I've never been to Bojangles, but I mean, Waffle House is the go-to place down south.
Yeah,
that's really popular, especially since it's 24/7. You can always go there, and you know what you're getting. You're not paying for gourmet food.
Right.
It's good food to eat.
Yeah. What about stock investing? When you told your friends you're going to be working at Zacks Investment Research over the summer, were they like, what? Like, what are you going to be doing there? Or was it like, oh yeah, we know about stocks, we're on some apps, or what was the response?
Yeah, so the one friend who was in Bitcoin, he likes to get involved in, trading and stuff.
Okay, cool.
So I don't know. I think he bites off more than he can chew sometimes, but he tries his best. Other ones aren't super in touch with the trading world or anything like that. I personally have an investment account that I like to manage. I just find it enjoyable.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, there's not too many out there.
Are you all using the online accounts then, like the Robinhoods?
Yeah, I use E-Trade.
Okay.
Because I don't know, that was just the simplest one I found, but I know Robinhood's really good, and there's a lot of other ones out there too.
Yeah. All right, because your millennials were basically the first to really have the online trading, but you guys, it's just normal now. That's just how it is. Nothing strange about that.
And then I know, a big new thing is online banking too. There's been so many new banks with super high interest rates that are just, the brick and mortar banks can't compete.
Do you guys all use alternative ways to buy stuff like PayPal and that stuff, or is it still credit cards?
No, I still use a debit card. I do have a credit card. I just use it occasionally, but I mainly use my debit card. And yeah, that's the simplest way for me.
Yeah. All right. Well, this was interesting to figure out like kind of what brands or what things that the Gen Zs are looking at right now. Did I miss anything that you can think of?
No, I think we kind of covered
I think we
all.
covered all the main things, because I know, going forward, social media is going to be one of the big questions, like who's on there, where's the growth going to come from, who's, going to really grow their revenue there. I feel kind of encouraged about like what might happen with Twitter and stuff, since you're a big proponent, because Twitter, I think it's only something like 20% of all Americans are even on it. But if the younger generation, the Gen Zs, start like thinking that they have to kind of be on there, could really help boost their numbers. And then I don't know what to make of Facebook, but that's all right, because they own Instagram too. So you're all on Instagram.
They won't be doing too bad.
No. Okay, so let me recap some of the ideas we kind of floated out here. They have an agreement with Lyft in Alabama. So Zach is taking Lyft a lot. LYFT is the ticker there. Uber, of course, is still around. UBER. There's some of the clothing brands, Lulu, LULU, Nike, still popular there, NKE, and Under Armour maybe still struggling. UA is the ticker there. On the gaming side, they're into PlayStation, which is owned by Sony. You can buy that ticker SNE. They're reporting any day now, so you might want to tune in there. But they have said the new PlayStation isn't coming until next year, along with the new Xbox too. Is there a difference between PlayStation, Xbox, or is it just you started on one and just kind of kept going?
I've always been on PlayStation, but I have friends who have, there's kind of like, there's always a fight between which is better. So
it sounds like the phone issue too.
Yeah, current generation, I think there's a consensus that PlayStation is better, but previously Xbox has been better, and going forward, we'll see which one's preferred.
We will, for sure, because Xbox is rolling out a new one too next year. So, and they're supposedly coordinating. Microsoft and Sony are apparently teaming up now. That could be good. So we'll see what happens with that. So also, there's Microsoft. You can, if you're interested in the Xbox side, MSFT is the ticker there. We talked about the Apple, the iPhone, AAPL, versus the Android, that's Alphabet, GOOGL. Twitch is owned by Amazon. It's one of their like kind of secret hidden businesses that I like a lot. That's AMZN. We talked about food. Domino's seems to be popular still on the college campuses. DPZ is the ticker there. Chipotle, CMG. Potbelly's is public. It's PBPB. Wingstop is out there. They're about to report earnings as well. Wing, WING. We talked about all the social medias, Twitter, TWTR, Snap is SNAP, LinkedIn is owned by Microsoft, which we already said was MSFT, and Facebook, FB, which also owns Instagram. So if you're interested in owning Instagram because the future, all the Gen Zs are on it, that would be under Facebook, FB. So I think that's everything we covered. There was a lot today, but Gen Z is going to be where it's at and where they are buying things from or going, and even to the mall. Then that's where the future of the consumer brands really is. So we're going to be tuning in to all the Gen Zs over the next couple of years at least, maybe until the 2-year-olds are now on the show. That's a ways off, but you never know. So we'll be tuning in to see like what's happening with investing ideas with Gen Z, because they're the next big thing. And as always, you don't want to miss a single episode. So subscribe to get the Market Edge. And you can get it on Apple Podcasts, of course. Apple is where it's at. And you can also get it on SoundCloud. And we're on Spotify. Oh, we didn't even mention that stuff, like the streaming services. But Spotify, that's the ticker SPOT, just in case you're interested. You can get us there as well. But get us somewhere so that you can get the next episode. And I'll see you again next week with some more stock ideas.
This material is being provided for informational purposes only, and nothing herein constitutes investment, legal, accounting, or tax advice, or a recommendation to buy, sell, or hold a security. Do not act or rely upon the information and advice given in this podcast without seeking the services of competent and professional legal, tax, or accounting counsel. Publication and distribution of this podcast is not intended to create, and the information contained herein does not constitute an attorney-client relationship. No recommendation or advice is being given as to whether any investment or strategy is suitable for a particular investor. It should not be assumed that any investments in securities, companies, sectors, or markets identified identified and described were or will be profitable. All information is current as of the date herein and is subject to change without notice. Any views or opinions expressed may not reflect those of Zacks Investment Research as a whole.